So, you said you worked at IHOP for a little
Yeah.
while. So, obviously, you said you were like, I listened to the first ever podcast you had
Yeah.
right today, and so because I just want to make sure I got like all the notes and everything like that. So, and like you were eating like fried foods and all that stuff,
Mhm.
and was that like a bad time for you for like with like food wise, or kind of how was that situation?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up on fried chicken,
Hmm.
and so I didn't, we didn't know the term protein. I mean, we didn't know what a macronutrient was, what's a calorie. I mean, that vocabulary did not exist in my household, and we ate every meal out, and we ate dessert every dinner, and typically at lunch as well. And so, I grew up on Little Debbie's. I grew up on all of it and had no awareness of the dangers of that
Hmm.
diet. And to be honest, I mean, our like my parents' generation, this stuff all started to exist when they were coming up, so they didn't have the awareness that they now have about food. So anyway, I grew up like that. And then I'm 18 years old and I get out of high school and I just start to gain weight. And so I had always been like, even though I didn't play sports or anything, I was always pretty active. And so when I started to gain weight, I want to say maybe within the first 6 months after graduating from high school, I believe I put on like 15 pounds of,
Hmm.
just fat. And so I recognized the trend was occurring what felt like rapidly, and that I didn't want to do it. There
Hmm.
were things as simple but noticeable as like my mobility. So 18-year-old Claire was not using the term mobility, okay? But I do know that when I'm laying down in bed and I'm curling up into a ball, my stomach is touching my legs now earlier than it ever has before, right?
Hmm.
Things like that made me uncomfortable. I'm also a woman and everyone cares what they look like. I think, for them, like we all want to look good, right? But
Yeah.
that was another thing for me was I want to I want to feel like when I walk in the room, like I'm proud of who walked in the room. And
Yeah.
I'm not feeling that way anymore. And so I've got to do something about this. And so nutrition was the first entry point, and then the fitness stuff came later. And then it was a journey. And so then I developed cute little eating disorders. And I say cute little ones, it's very rough. But binge eating and bulimia and orthorexia and all that fun stuff. And just kind of navigated my way through that for most of my 20s.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
my sister actually, my middle sister. So I have three younger sisters, and so the middle one had an eating disorder because her Irish step dancing coach told her that she was too fat and she needed to lose weight, and so that just triggered it. So she wouldn't eat, and she'd be like passing out like in school and stuff like that, and she just wouldn't eat. Period. And so, kind of seeing like what she had to deal with and stuff like that, and then we had to bring her to like a group home to kind of like you know, rehabilitate her back to like, eating normal and stuff like that. And she still has episodes some once in a while, but like just seeing my parents and like how much like, what they went through and even me too, just kind of seeing like, what she's going through and how tough it was for us to see the way she was like. So it was that kind of like what your parents were thinking too.
Yeah, I mean, I think in hindsight, they have a lot of emotions tied to my sister's morbid obesity growing up. And so she is not anymore, but she still has to, all this stuff that you don't just like, it's gone. I mean,
Hmm.
all of this stuff that was built in. So for your sister, it was a coach telling her that she was overweight when she wasn't or whatever. And there are so many. I coach actually clients with nutrition a lot today, and so often I get women that were told by their coaches or whatever growing up that they were thanks to the BMI scale, all of these things that are untrue, and they
Yeah.
couldn't compete unless they were under this number of pounds on the scale. And so all of these ideas that are just so broken. But I think that one of the things we have to like really look at, and so this is even for a diabetic person, is like, for me, I recognize that my relationship with alcohol was really not serving me. And so I had the opportunity to say, and I did not know that I was capable of this at that time, but have learned that I am and that anyone is with the right tools could close that door.
Hmm.
I could say, okay, you know what? Me and alcohol, we interact differently and I make messes. And so I don't have to ever drink again. I don't have to ever drink alcohol again. And so that requires me to have a recovery program and things like that. But I have that option. Food, we don't get to run away. like for the rest of our lives, we have to eat food to live. And so to try to continue wherever you are in your journey with it, to find a way to have a relationship with food that you can actually enjoy the experience because it's meant to be enjoyed. And
Hmm.
instead it's just been so bogged down with misinformation and all sorts of, diet culture and whatever that just really makes it really hard for people to not just have this really messy relationship with food, which is so sad. But I mean,
Yeah.
I get it. I know you because I am you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.